You need to step aside, ma'am, the security guard said, his hand raised to block her path. First-class boarding is not yet open. Maya Wilson didn't flinch as she held up her boarding pass, seat 1A glowing on the screen. I am first class, she replied calmly. The guard barely glanced at her phone, his eyes already shifting to the white businessman behind her. Sir, right this way, he said with a smile, checking the man's economy ticket with a casual wave. What these airport employees didn't realize, what no one in that terminal understood, was that the woman they just disrespected owned more of their airline than their CEO ever would. And by tonight, their careers would be in free fall. Think this is just another discrimination story? Watch closely. This isn't about a boarding pass. It's about who really holds the power. What would you do if you were in Maya's shoes? Comment below, tell us where you're watching from, and hit subscribe, because the ending will leave you speechless. Tatushi. Morning began with promise at Philadelphia International Airport. 5:30 a.m. Crisp November air, terminal lights casting a soft glow over travelers clutching coffee cups and briefcases. Business as usual. Maya Wilson moved through the airport with practiced efficiency. At 42, she commanded attention without seeking it. Her tailored charcoal suit, simple gold jewelry, and confident stride reflecting 15 years of navigating boardrooms where she was often the only black woman present. As CEO of Skyline Ventures, a venture capital powerhouse with over $4 billion in managed assets, Maya had finalized acquisition talks with Meridian Airlines just yesterday. The deal, worth $600 million, would revolutionize their flight routes across Asia and Africa, opening markets their competitors couldn't touch. Her flight to Singapore would connect her with the final signatures needed to complete the agreement. Everything was aligned. Except this morning, something felt off. It started at the premium check-in counter. The attendant, a man named Richard according to his badge, didn't look up when Maya approached. Economy check-in is to your left, he said, without glancing at her documents. Maya placed her passport and digital boarding pass on the counter. I'm in first class 1A. Richard finally looked up, skepticism creasing his brow. He scanned her boarding pass with visible reluctance. Oh, I see. His tone suggested surprise rather than apology. No, I apologize, or my mistake. Just the bare minimum acknowledgement before printing her boarding pass. Maya accepted it without comment and moved toward security. She'd experienced this before, the assumptions, the dismissals, the subtle reminders that no matter her achievements, some would see her skin first and credentials second. Today she didn't have time to address it. The Singapore meeting demanded her focus. At the security checkpoint, the premium lane stood empty except for a TSA agent checking documents. Maya presented her ID and boarding pass. Regular security. He is that way, the agent said, pointing to a line stretching back 30 feet. I have TSA pre-check, Maya replied, indicating the marking on her boarding pass. The agent frowned. System shows you've been randomly selected for additional screening. You'll need to use the standard lane. From the corner of her eye, Maya noticed a white woman in tennis shoes and casual attire breezed through the pre-check lane without hesitation. Her boarding pass, visible from Maya's angle, showed seat 15C, economy. Maya considered arguing but calculated the time it would take. Not worth it. She moved to the regular line, removed her shoes, unpacked her laptop, and watched as 3 more white travelers passed through pre-check without random selection. 20 minutes later, she reached the terminal and headed for the first class lounge. Her phone buzzed, a text from Marcus, her COO. Singapore team confirmed. They're excited. Safe travels. At the lounge entrance, Maya presented her boarding pass to a young attendant with perfectly styled hair and a practiced smile. "I'm sorry. There seems to be an issue with your access," she said after scanning the pass. "The system shows your status has been downgraded." Maya raised an eyebrow. "That's not possible. I booked first class directly through your corporate portal yesterday." The attendant tapped at her keyboard. "It looks like there was a seat reassignment." Her hesitation suggested something unusual. "You've been moved to economy, seat 28B. "I paid for first class," Maya said, her voice level. "I didn't request any change." "I understand, but there's nothing I can do. The change was processed about 30 minutes ago." Maya checked her phone. No notifications, no emails about any changes. "By whom?" "I don't have that information. You'll need to speak with the gate agent." Maya turned away, frustration building beneath her calm exterior. As she did, she noticed two white executives being welcomed into the lounge with warm smiles and offers of champagne. She walked to a quiet corner of the terminal, pulled out her phone, and called her assistant. "Zoe, I need you to check something. Meridian Airlines just downgraded my seat without notification. See what's happening." While waiting, Maya observed the gate area. A security guard, tall, broad-shouldered, with Carter on his badge, stood, watching her with unusual attention. When their eyes met, he looked away quickly, then spoke into his radio. Zoe called back 5 minutes later. "Maya, something strange is happening. The system shows your reservation was flagged with a code they call S Priority Review. It's an internal designation. I pushed, but they wouldn't explain what it means." "Thanks, Zoe." Maya ended the call, her mind connecting dots. She'd encountered this before, not the specific code, but the pattern, the selective enforcement, the random selections, the downgraded service. At the gate, Maya approached the counter, boarding pass in hand. The agent, a middle-aged man whose name tag read Vincent, looked up with visible discomfort when she stated her purpose. "Ms. Wilson, yes, there was a seating adjustment made for operational reasons." "What operational reasons?" Maya asked. Vincent shifted. "I don't have the specific details. Sometimes these decisions come from higher up when we need to accommodate certain passengers." "Certain passengers," Maya repeated. "And my first-class seat that I paid for? Who has it now?" Vincent checked his screen. "It shows as assigned to a Mr. Bradley Thompson." Maya recognized the name immediately, a mid-level manager at a tech firm she'd declined to fund last year. "Not a priority passenger by any metric. I'd like to speak to your supervisor." Vincent hesitated, then picked up a phone. Minutes later, a man approached, early 50s, salt and pepper hair, a posture that communicated authority. His name badge read, "Frank Desmond, Operations Manager." "What seems to be the problem?" he asked, addressing Vincent rather than Maya. "This passenger is questioning a seat reassignment," Vincent replied. Frank finally turned to Maya, his expression professionally neutral. "Ms. Wilson. Maya Wilson. Your airline downgraded me from first class to economy without notification, consent, or explanation." Frank studied his tablet. "I see the change was made as part of our priority passenger protocol." "And what protocol is that?" "We occasionally need to make adjustments based on loyalty program status and other factors." "I'm a platinum member with over 200,000 miles this year," Maya countered. "What other factors are you referring to?" Frank's smile tightened. I'm not at liberty to discuss all aspects of our seating algorithms, Ms. Wilson. I can offer you a $200 flight credit for the inconvenience. Maya didn't blink. I'm not interested in credit. I want my original seat. I'm afraid that's not possible. The flight is fully booked. As they spoke, Maya noticed Carter, the security guard from earlier, positioning himself closer to the counter. His hand rested casually on his radio, eyes fixed on her. Frank, Maya said, lowering her voice. Let's be clear about what's happening. I've been singled out, downgraded, and now monitored by security since I arrived. I'm asking you, professionally and directly, why? Frank's expression hardened. Ms. Wilson, I'd advise against making accusations. If you're unhappy with your seat, assignment, you're welcome to book another flight. Behind him, Carter took a step closer, joined now by a second guard. Maya understood the message perfectly. She was being managed, contained, a problem they were prepared to remove if necessary. See, she said quietly. She took her economy boarding pass and stepped away from the counter. As she walked toward a row of seats, she noticed travelers watching the exchange, some curious, others uncomfortable, most quickly looking away when she met their eyes. Maya sat down, opened her briefcase, and removed her tablet. To anyone observing, she appeared to be reviewing documents, the picture of composure. But beneath that calm exterior, she was making a decision that would shake Meridian Airlines to its foundation. She opened a secure messaging app and contacted her executive team with 2 words: execute contingency. Within moments, her phone lit up with a confirmation. Protocol initiated. Timeline, immediate. Maya closed her tablet and waited as boarding began. When her group was called, she joined the line, moving with the resigned patience of someone who'd decided to pick another battle, another day. The flight attendant barely glanced at her as she boarded, directing her toward the back of the plane with a perfunctory gesture. As Maya moved down the aisle, she passed seat 1A, now occupied by Bradley Thompson, who was already ordering champagne. Their eyes met briefly. His flashed with recognition, then confusion, then something like smug satisfaction as he registered, her walking toward economy. Maya continued to her middle seat, wedged between a man already spilling into her space and a teenager with headphones blasting audible music. She settled in, fastened her seatbelt, and closed her eyes. She didn't need to watch what was happening. She could feel it. The invisible machinery she'd just set in motion, the financial algorithms adjusting, the digital notices being drafted. By the time this flight landed, Meridian Airlines would understand exactly who they'd chosen to disrespect. What they didn't know, what security guard Carter, manager Frank, attendant Richard, and CEO Jonathan Pierce himself couldn't possibly comprehend, was that Maya Wilson hadn't been headed to Singapore merely to sign the $600 million deal. She'd been going to announce an additional $2 billion expansion that would have made Meridian the dominant carrier in emerging markets across 3 continents. Instead, she was about to become the architect of their most catastrophic fiscal quarter in company history. 5 hours later, in Meridian's corporate headquarters, CEO Jonathan Pierce stared at his computer screen in disbelief. This can't be right, he muttered, refreshing the page. The stock ticker didn't change, down 12% and falling. His phone had been buzzing non-stop for the past hour. Board members, investors, media. His assistant burst through the door without knocking. Sir, we have a situation. Skyline Ventures has publicly withdrawn from the acquisition deal. Their press release cites irreconcilable differences in corporate culture and customer treatment standards. Jonathan felt the blood drain from his face. That's impossible. The deal was practically finalized. Maya Wilson was flying to Singapore today to... His assistant's expression stopped him cold. "What?" he demanded. "Sir, according to reports, Ms. Wilson was on a Meridian flight this morning. She was downgraded from first class to economy without explanation. There are also mentions of additional security screening and denied lounge access." Jonathan grabbed his phone, frantically scrolling through messages. One from his head of airport operations caught his attention. "Potential PR issue. Black female passenger claimed discrimination at PHL this morning. Handled by Desmond. Get Frank Desmond on the phone. Now," Jonathan barked. Within minutes, a conference call connected the CEO with Frank and the head of operations. "Explain to me how a $600 million deal just evaporated," Jonathan demanded without preamble. Frank's voice came through, defensive and confused. "Sir, I'm not sure what you're referring to. We had a passenger this morning making demands about seating." "Not just any passenger," Jonathan shouted. "Maya Wilson, CEO of Skyline Ventures, the company that was about to save our Asian expansion." Silence. "Did you know who she was?" Jonathan pressed. "She didn't identify herself as a CEO," Frank stammered. "She was just another passenger making a scene about a seat reassignment." "Why was she reassigned in the first place?" More silence. "Frank, I'm waiting." "She was flagged in the system with an S priority code." "What the hell is an S priority code?" The head of operations cleared his throat. "It's an internal designation, sir, for passengers who might require additional monitoring." "On what basis?" Jonathan's voice had gone dangerously quiet. "Various factors," the operations head replied. Carefully. "Previous complaint history, behavioral notes from staff." "Did Ms. Wilson have any such history?" "No, sir." "So why was she flagged?" The silence stretched. "I'm going to ask one more time," Jonathan said. "Why was a black female CEO with no prior incidents flagged for additional monitoring on the day?" "She was flying to complete a $600 million deal with our company." "The flag came from terminal security," Frank finally admitted. "Carter noted her as questioning authority at the premium check-in. Said she wasn't cooperative when redirected to economy lines, even though she had a first-class ticket." "Yes, sir." Jonathan closed his eyes, the full magnitude of the disaster washing over him. "The stock is in free fall. The board is calling for answers. And you're telling me this happened because our staff decided a black woman in first class needed to be redirected and monitored?" "Sir, we couldn't have known." "You didn't need to know she was a CEO," Jonathan exploded. "You needed to treat her with the same respect as any other first-class passenger. Instead, you profiled her, harassed her, and humiliated her. And now we're facing a discrimination lawsuit on top of a collapsed deal." As if on cue, his assistant appeared at the door again, her expression grim. "Sir, it's worse than we thought. Skyline has issued another statement. They've liquidated their existing shares in Meridian, approximately 7% of total holdings. 3 other major investors have followed suit." Jonathan felt his career crumbling in real time. "Get me Maya Wilson on the phone." "We've tried, sir. Her office says she's unavailable until further notice." Outside the window of his corner office, Jonathan could see financial reporters gathering in the plaza below. The vultures were circling. His phone pinged with a new message. From the board chairman, "Emergency meeting, 4 p.m. Bring resignation letter." Meanwhile, 37,000 feet above the Atlantic, Maya Wilson gazed out the window of a different airline's first-class cabin, a glass of mineral water in hand. Her phone buzzed with updates from her team. Meridian shares down 18% and falling. 3 board members calling for CEO resignation. Our legal team has filed formal discrimination complaints with DOT and FAA. Alternative deal with Meridian's competitor progressing. They're offering better terms. Maya set her phone down. This wasn't about vengeance. It was about consequences. The flight attendant approached with a warm smile. Ms. Wilson, the captain asked me to personally thank you for flying with us today. Your investor confidence means everything to our airline. Maya nodded politely. Thank you. It's nice to be valued as a passenger. As the attendant moved away, Maya returned to the window, watching clouds drift beneath the wing. In her briefcase was the framework for a new industry standard on equitable customer treatment, a protocol she would require any airline seeking skyline investment to adopt. She thought of Carter, Frank, Richard, and all the others who had looked at her and seen only what their biases allowed. They hadn't just lost a major investor today. They'd lost their jobs, their company's reputation, and any illusion that discrimination was somehow separate from business. Maya Wilson hadn't become CEO by accident. She'd learned long ago that real power wasn't about making scenes or demanding respect. Real power was about having options, making choices, and ensuring that disrespect carried consequences too expensive to bear. By the time her flight landed, Meridian Airlines would announce a leadership restructuring and an organizational commitment to diversity training. Financial analysts would dissect the company's collapse as a case study in corporate risk management, but Maya knew the truth. This wasn't complex corporate strategy. It was remarkably simple. Respect is free. Disrespect costs everything. Shocking. Update. 3 weeks after canceling her deal with Meridian, Maya Wilson announced a $1.2 billion investment in their biggest competitor, transforming the industry landscape overnight. Meridian filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection yesterday. Was justice served? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story taught you something about power and consequences, hit that subscribe button and share with someone who needs to see it.